Hi, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Żaneta. It was finally time for our Korea trip. But before we could even think about packing, we still had to check in online and apply for Korea's electronic travel authorization. The application itself was pretty straightforward until it asked for our hotel address. After several attempts, I finally realized it also wanted the address in Korean, not just in English. At that point, I was just copying and pasting random looking characters, hoping I hadn't accidentally booked us into someone's apartment instead of a hotel. For this trip, we flew with Asiana Airlines, and I have to admit, Taiwanese airlines have spoiled us. Every time we have flown from Taiwan, we have been seated together automatically. Adrian received a little origami animal set. My plan had been to relax and watch a movie during the flight. Instead, I spent 2 hours folding paper animals. Before we knew it, we had landed in Seoul. The taxi ride from Incheon Airport to Namdamon cost about 100,000 won, which definitely wasn't cheap, but it got us straight to our hotel without any stress. When we finally checked in, the first thing I noticed wasn't the room, it was the view. Right outside our window stood Namdamon Gate, beautifully lit up against the night sky. I only just managed to take a few photos before they switched the lights off around 11 p.m. Talk about perfect timing. The next morning, the real adventure finally began. My mission for this trip? To visit every palace in Seoul, or at least survive trying. After going out, we passed by Namdamon Gate. Officially called Jongmyo, is the oldest and one of the most iconic city gates in Seoul. It was originally built in 1398 during the early Joseon dynasty and once served as the main southern gate of the city's fortress walls. Since it was our first full day, I didn't want to rush around ticking off attractions. Visiting a new country, you have to spend some time figuring out how everything works. So we started with a walk to Seoul Station. Along the way, we spotted Seoul Tower, watching over the city from Namsan Mountain. For a moment, I thought, should we go up today? Then I remembered there were about 100 other places I wanted to see. That plan lasted approximately 5 seconds. After that, we bought our T-Money cards. The machine was surprisingly easy to use, as long as you already had Korean cash. No cash, no card. Simple as that. Originally, I wanted to buy the unlimited climate card, but my husband said we wouldn't use public transport enough. Turns out he was right. We somehow managed to walk over 10 kilometers every day. Apparently, our holiday strategy was simple. Let's just walk. Our first stop was Jongmyo Shrine, and I have to say, it wasn't what I expected. After seeing photos of Korea's colorful palaces, I imagined something similar. Instead, Jongmyo is incredibly simple and peaceful. Built in 1395, during the early Joseon dynasty, it's one of Korea's most important royal Confucian shrines. It's dedicated to the kings and queens of the Joseon dynasty. And unlike the palaces we will visit later on this trip, everything here reflects Confucian values of respect, humanity, and harmony rather than luxury. Jongmyo is also where the traditional royal ancestral ceremony, Jongmyo is still performed today, together with its ceremonial court music, Jongmyo. Both have been recognized by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage. Walking through the grounds felt completely different from the busy streets outside. It was so quiet that it almost didn't feel like we were still in the middle of Seoul. If you are looking for somewhere to escape the crowds for a while, this is definitely a place I would recommend. After that, we walked over to Tapkol Park. It's not a huge park, and to be honest, if you didn't know its history, you might think it's just another small city park. But it's actually a very important place in Korean history. The park was once home to a Buddhist temple called Wongaksa. And right in the middle stands a beautiful 10-story stone pagoda that has survived for centuries. From there, we continued walking through Jongno and past Bosingak Bell Pavilion. Hundreds of years ago, this bell was rung to signal the opening and closing of the city gates, and it even served as a fire alarm. It's funny how you can walk past something that looks very ordinary, only to discover it has been standing there in one form or another for hundreds of years. Of course, no family trip is complete without a claw machine. Actually, there weren't just one or two. My husband is ridiculously good at claw machines. I think he has won around 30 Pokemon plushies in Taiwan so far. So, naturally, we thought Korea should be easy. It wasn't. No matter what we tried, those machines refused to give us anything. Just when we were ready to admit defeat, something really heartwarming happened. A kind woman who had just won several Pokemon plushies noticed us struggling and gave Adrian a Venusaur. Thank you so much, whoever you are. Korea definitely has no shortage of drinking shops, and every menu looked tempting. The only problem? The drinks seem to come with one sugar setting. Yes. There is no option to reduce the sweetness, so they ended up much sweeter than what we are used to. For dinner, we had to try one thing, Korean fried chicken. And wow, the portions are no joke. At first, we are thinking, this is delicious. About halfway through, we started wondering, are we actually going to finish all this? Somehow, we did. To finish the day, we wandered through the bright streets of Myeongdong, soaking up the atmosphere before heading back to the hotel. By the end of the day, we had walked around 13 kilometers. Apparently, this was only the beginning. And tomorrow, the palace adventure really begins. That was all for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!